and everything.
You can hear everything.
So everything
Yeah.
comes from the board. Hopefully it does, because like I said, I didn't have time to check it. And we have this multi-camera thing, which is this.
That's
What
awesome.
else? We got the feet. We got this, the side one, and then we got multicams. Like different scenes. If you want to see feet, just both together. So this is it. So that's what I
Ah,
teach nowadays. And we were like, okay, my goal, me and Yanis, we were talking about. My goal was I wanted to make a band, like an official band, and play different shit. Not metal stuff, and use a single kick. I want to use a single kick because I remember from where I started playing drums, like 11 years old or something. I always had two kicks, and I'm like, I want to use a single kick and just a normal set, like 5 piece, whatever. Well, six or second floor. Anyways, and we got together, we wrote some music, and it's I think it's fusion, progressive fusion. That's what we call it. But there's some jazz moments, some more funky moments, some Latin moments here and there. And then of course the curse that I always had. I was like, oh, for the swing stuff, what if I use another kick, like an 18 inch. And I have two kicks as well, but it's both for the right foot. So it's like a 22-inch kick, and then on the right side there's another um, 18-inch kick. So whenever I play a little bit, like lower, and like more like I want more flow, I use that kick. Okay, which
Mm.
I can give you an example right here. Actually,
please
you
do.
can you can hear the kicks, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
this is the kick. Okay, but if you play light, you see this third kick.
Oh wow.
So I can use that too. So this kit has three kick drums now and a foot snare. But like I said, this is like for personal stuff and fun, and mostly for the lessons.
Hmm.
But yeah, so that trio went like progressive fusion. We have a full album, our debut album, and actually right now we're mixing, so it's gonna be out. I don't know, like a month from now or something. And I'm very very excited. I wanna treat this band like I treat Nile, like my main band, which I'm
Hmm.
loyal for 18 years in Nile.
18
Jesus Christ.
years, dude.
Yeah, 18 years in the band. So I want to do the same with Royal Time Machine, and tour with them, um, which is
It's
going to be
wild
very
that
interesting.
sorry.
Yeah.
It's wild that Annihilation is that old.
It was 2004.
Yeah.
2004. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's where
Wild, dude.
where I got the gig. Do you know the
Jeez.
story? How I got in the band?
No, but I'd love to hear it.
Actually, some people heard the story, but nobody heard this story.
All
Okay,
right.
so
Exclusive.
finally, how I got in the band was like, Hate Eternal were playing in 2003, late 2003. I think it was December, and they were finishing their tour in Greece. And then I'm there, to watch Derek Roddy, which he's one of my biggest influences, and one of my
Hell
best
yeah.
buddies now. So yeah, me and Derek go like years and years.
Awesome.
And of course, I'm still a big fan. I always admire his drumming. Very open-minded drummer. Like he can play any style. That's why I follow Derek mainly, because he was doing what I wanted to do,
Hmm.
the different styles and the way he plays. Like everything. But anyways, I went there, and I had another trio back then, a band named Sickening Horror, which I still think to this day that we were doing something really, really, really great, and like fretless bass and 260 BPM, 1 foot shit. We were talking about 2003.
Yeah.
And we had a promo CD with three songs. One of them was 250 BPM, but it was pretty sloppy. I mean, you could tell it was a kid like fighting with the drums, but it was
Yeah.
it was there. It was there. It's just not
Sweet.
not even close to perfect. So I went to Derek. I was like, hey man, take the CD, blah blah blah. And I'm a big fan, whatever. And he actually gave it a listen. So he went back to the States like a few days later, and he made a big post like talking about me, my drumming, and my band. I'm like, holy shit, that's that's big. So, anyways, and then I got in touch, and I was like, hey man, I just wanted to say thank you. Like it really meant a lot for me. So I got in his forum. Everybody was in his forum, the only metal drummers forum back then. So I sent him a private message, how we used to call them,
Yeah.
And then he replied to me. He was like, "Dude, your drumming is amazing. Blah blah blah. You got to make some videos of you playing, and just let people see you're playing."
Hmm.
But back then it wasn't like you have GoPros and like, you have YouTube. It was pretty tough. So I had to
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
somebody with a camera. We had a show like 2 weeks later. I'm like, guys, we're gonna film it because Derek asked me to do like a drum cam, whatever show, and I did, and we uploaded somewhere, some servers, and that was the day I started getting fan emails, from abroad. But anyways, that was how I met Derek, and then of course, when Tony Loreano left the band, Nile, Derek recommended me. He was like, "Yeah, I know somebody in Greece. He can play. He can play the stuff for sure, but he's in Greece, so you got to fly him." And Carl contacted me. Okay, but so that's a story that everybody knows. But the
Hmm.
story that nobody knows, I think nobody knows, it was because of the forum and the exposure we were getting, and there were not so many drummers able to play that fast back then. Um, uh, the Decrepit Birth actually contacted me. Do you know
Mm.
this,
Yeah,
Casey?
yeah, yeah.
You know the
So
story?
yeah,
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 Okay.
yeah.
yeah.
We've heard the story.
So actually, there was two more bands which I didn't want to join. Very well-known bands. One is in Florida. I don't want to say the names, but there were three bands. One was Decrepit Birth, and back then Decrepit, I was like, man, I really like this music. Like I really like the band. So Matt contacted me, right, and I said, yeah, let's do it, man. I'm in. I'm in. I'll do it. And he was like, okay, but you got to make some videos, so I can see that you can play the stuff. It makes sense. So he didn't. He wouldn't have to fly me, to L.A., and be like, not able to play. So I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah, I got it, man. But it's not easy. So it will take me a couple of weeks, like the previous video we did. It was like, yeah, no problem. In the meantime, I had the phone call from Carl, and he was like, okay,
Mm.
we want you,
Yeah.
Nile, but don't say anything. And then I was like, man, what should I do now? So
Yeah.
I never sent the video to Matt, obviously, but I couldn't say anything. So that was pretty fucking rude for me. Like, I was like, man, he will think I can't play or, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But,
So funny.
he was like, don't say anything. Yeah, because Nile, obviously, they wanted to see like if this will gel or not.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
sure.
anyways, somehow Matt heard it from somewhere, but I never said anything. So he was like, "Hey, man, I heard this, blah blah blah." I know, of course, he's like, "Everything is cool, good luck," and so I'm like, "Oh, thanks, man." I couldn't say anything. So that was it. Oh, I was really
Yeah.
close to join the band. Yeah,
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. That's so
Yeah.
cool. I
Well-
remember Matt talking about like that,
Yeah.
like when I
Yeah, me
first
too.
joined and stuff, and he was like, isn't that, he's like, it's so crazy that he's like, George was interested in Decrepit Birth, and then soon after he
Yeah, a lot.
joined Nile. He's like, dude, it's so great. I remember that. We were just like, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
and the other two bands, they're very well known bands, like way more than Decrepit Birth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I
Well,
said,
you mentioned Florida.
That's
I mean,
always me, man.
Yeah. Like OG.
Oh no, not like the big bands, like. But yeah, it was a pretty
Sure.
well-known band, one of them, and but the Credit was like, it was the gig I wanted to, Team played on their album back then, and he did an amazing
Yeah.
job,
Tim, yeah.
big fan
Oh.
of Team Young as well.
That was another thing I remember because like back, I mean, I got into this stuff like a couple years. I mean, probably like 98, 99. I really got into death metal. And I remember back in those times, like it was like Derek Roddy and Tim Young were just like the heroes of, I mean, and Kevin Talley. There's so many drummers, Dave Cole, I mean, all of them. But like Roddy and Tim were just at the top of that heap, just so fast. And then I remember when we listened to Sickening Horror a lot. Actually, our friend Josh had that demo, and he would show us or what the recording.
Yep.
And but yeah, man, like I remember vividly like this memory of Matt going like, yeah, so Tim went to go see George play with Nile, and it's legit, dude. He like Tim was like, dude, George is like the gnarliest. I remember him saying that, and I was like, well, if Tim Young thinks
cool.
we're the gnarliest, then and of course Roddy's always been. I mean,
Yeah.
you guys are such like cool dudes. I mean, we've had Roddy and Tim on like, and we were we were joking about, man, we got to get George on, like, to, like, you know, complete the trifecta, you know, then open the gates of hell.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's like